Hi PSA members in Community Services. Today you would have received a bulletin, and within that bulletin is a link to a very, very important survey. The survey is to gauge your response to an offer from the Department of Communities and Justice in regard to your employment. And that offer has been the culmination of many months of work here at the PSA. Today I'd like a few moments of your time just to explain once again that offer for those of you that haven't had an opportunity to attend one of our forums, explain where it comes from and where to next. Last year in our salaries case, which applied to all of the public sector, we sought particular carve-outs for certain occupations that we had concerns required their own intervention. One of those areas was you. We saw with our own eyes and reported to us through diligently by your delegates. There's been a crisis in child protection for too long. You have had difficulties in attracting people to work there and even greater difficulties in retaining them. And that challenge for us necessitated the creation of a particular award that would change your wages, your salaries and your conditions in a way to make the agency somewhat more appealing to work for. That has always been our primary purpose going into these negotiations. We undertook in the salaries arrangement between us and Treasury that we would develop our own award for child protection, and we've been engaged in those negotiations with DCJ since November. In around January, we surveyed our members and we received quite an overwhelming response to that survey about what else you cared about, what you sought to be put in that award. And the second piece that came to us very clearly wasn't just about wages, but it was about the hours you're working. That people are doing too many hours, losing too many hours, and too much unpaid overtime. So it was with those two particular problems that we went into those negotiations with the department, and the outcome is hopefully an instrument that addresses some of those concerns. I'll just take you through, once again, the major points of the award that you're being asked to vote on. Firstly, there's a creation of a graduate caseworker position, which is quite unique. It will be grade 4 for a 2-year period, and during that time they do the CDP. Caseworkers move permanently from grades 3 through to grade 7 to becoming grades 5 to 7. And within that becomes a transition package for many of you that are already working in the department that will see your wages increase from between 6 and 22% in the next 2 years. Thirdly, there's a creation of a new position, a leading caseworker, which will be grade 8, and its primary function is to supervise and mentor those graduate caseworkers. We see that as a pivotal role to not only recruit people, but retain them. Too often we're hearing stories of caseworkers coming into the job fresh from university and burning out within the first 2 years. It's bad for those workers and it's bad for the workforce generally. The other position that's being regraded, of course, is the manager casework, which we have been complaining about to the department for many, many years, almost since its creation. It has previously just been a single grade at 9 and it moves to a grade 9-10. In large, that's probably the classification changes that this award proposes, but it also proposes something really, really important that we believe is important in respect to your hours worked. It's got a scheme that finally recognises your hours, finally pays you for those hours, and avoids you losing hours all the time. The first part of that scheme is that overtime will be automatically applicable after you've worked 9 hours. That's probably fundamentally always been the position, but it's never been applied. This award guarantees it will. The second part of it is a scheme that we have picked up that we won in the IRC last year for the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, and we have now successfully sought and argued to have imposed on you. And it basically means that where one of you as a caseworker is running high on your hours on your flex sheet, you speak with your manager, you mutually identify ways that your workload can be reduced immediately, or that other days can be taken in the next flex period, which, in addition to your usual flex days, so those hours are not lost, or it converts into overtime as well. We strongly believe that these two measures will reduce your work hours, will give you a better work-life balance, and pay you for the hours that you put in. It sounds like a really fundamental premise, but it's one that hasn't been applied before in community services. There are in this deal some groups that do not benefit as much as everyone else, and we acknowledge that. I want to assure all members that we went into bat for every member that we have in community services and will continue to do so. But unfortunately, sometimes the money only goes so far, and I can assure you that we stretched them as far as we possibly could in these negotiations. I want to acknowledge that casework specialists are having their roles changed. The role is essentially being deleted and they'll move to other positions within the department. No one will lose a job. You'll still be employed by community services, albeit in a different capacity. Secondly, I want to acknowledge that the uplift that happens out of this transition package probably isn't equal for all workers. Senior caseworkers in particular don't receive the same uplift that some of their colleagues do that have been with the department for a shorter period of time. That's unfortunate, but no one's going backwards, and everyone's going to have access to the overtime provisions and hopefully, should these measures work, a more stable workforce around them. The third group I particularly want to acknowledge, and it's someone that we have gone in strongly into bat for and we are going to continue to do so, are the admin professionals in community services. I have seen firsthand and expressed regularly our union's concerns about your position, the classifications of your positions and the allotment of work that you receive. Many of you work so far above your current grade. We have in this award an agreement to continue those discussions because, put simply, it was not something we could resolve within this 6-month period. It requires quite an intensive examination of who they put where and what positions they allocate to what CSC. And I can undertake to you today that we're going to pursue that and continue to pursue that till we get a result. They're the major measures in the award. I want to take particular time to thank the involvement of all of your delegates, and particularly the delegates that have been part of the negotiations, and that's Sue Nichols, Kelly German and Sheldon Souder. They have been outstanding with their involvement and advice to us in negotiation of this award, and I appreciate their efforts greatly on your behalf. It's not a perfect award. We'll concede that. It's not everything we asked for. We'll concede that. But our advice to you is it is a damn good deal in a time where fiscal restraint's being forced on so many departments right across the public sector, and it's something that it's worth voting yes for to at least see if it addresses some of the major problems your department's had for so long. I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for your membership of the PSA, and I want to assure you that this is a very good step forward, but it's not the end of the journey, and we'll continue to represent your interests going forward. Thanks.